Well, there are two main sources of temptation that we experience as Christians. There are temptations that come from outside, and there are temptations that come from inside. So from outside, we are tempted by what we experience in the world, what we see, what we hear, what we encounter. Satan is at work through the world to tempt us. The main way that Satan tempts is by telling lies. We see that in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve are tempted by the serpent, externally speaking to them, lying to them about what God's word said, lying to them about what God's character was like, lying to them about the judgment that would follow. That was very much an external temptation that was coming to them, putting ideas into their head and in their mind. And now we live in the world, and the whole world has been given over to the power of Satan. Our world is full of the lies that he tells. We don't have to have Satan speaking to us personally to be being tempted by him. Those lies come through the culture, the things that we see, the things that we hear, the things that people say, all of which are seeking to lead us to disobey God. There's also the struggles of suffering and pain in the world. So we are tempted by struggles. We all naturally want a comfortable life without pain. And so where there is the threat of pain or suffering or persecution or marginalisation, that will tempt us not to go God's way because it will be more costly. So those are external things. John in his letter talks about the flesh, the world and the devil. That's the world and the devil tempting us in that way. So it comes from outside. But at the same time, we also have temptation that comes from inside. Ever since Adam and Eve disobeyed God, we were given over to sin. It's like a power that's ruling in our lives. And as human beings, we continue to have a fallen nature. Even though we become Christians and we become born again and we're forgiven and we're regenerated and given a new nature and a new heart, that doesn't sort of take away our old fallen self. And as long as we're still in this body until we die and we're resurrected and remade like Jesus, we will have an internal conflict between the desires of the flesh and the new desires of the spirit that we've been given. So a lot of our temptation comes from our own internal desires, our own fallen self, which makes it so frustrating. So we could be sitting in entirely a dark room on our own with no external stimuli at all, and yet actually we find sort of desires and temptations arising that come from our fallen flesh. And I think we need to recognise both of those two sources of temptation, and very often they work together. So something external, a stimuli, something we see, a situation that we're in, that actually gives rise to those sort of desires that come from our own fallen flesh. So we can't avoid being tempted simply by removing ourselves from the world. We have to battle both what comes to us from outside and also deal with the desires that come from within.